I'm Maggie Hamilton, editor of Choir and Organ magazine, and I've come to Merton College, Oxford for a very special event. John Scott is giving a recital on the new Dobson organ in the chapel. But first I'm going to meet the organ builders and the director of music and John Scott to learn a little bit more.
The sum total of this instrument is, I think, its versatility is very impressive, because I'm playing tonight a wide range of music from 16th century Northern Europe, Sweelinck, Sammelscheid, Buxtehude, and moving to Central Europe to Bach. So each of these pieces has a particular distinctive sound, well, I think, to try and explore. And all these sounds are really very present in this instrument. And after the Bach, the Fantasia and Fugue in G minor, I switch right across the centuries to César Franck, so 19th century France, and again exploring a totally different sound world, a different palette, if you like. And I think it does everything that I'm playing tonight very convincingly, indeed, in terms of the sonorities.
Well, clearly for us the important thing was the choir at Merton College. Although fairly young, it's very fine, and the choir was in many ways the inspiration both for the organ and its reason for existing. Our purpose was to try to make the organ as versatile as possible, to give it all the colors that would be needed for the various different bodies of literature that the choir would perform, and to also encourage the idea that new music could be composed for the organ. To not limit it to some specific stylistic period.
The first thing I do when I come to a new organ is to explore stop by stop, and I usually start with the principal on the grate, on the main manual. So in this case, I began with the open diapason number 2 on the grate, and I was just entranced by the beautiful vocal and cantabile singing quality of the stop, which as you get higher in the register it becomes even more beautiful. And very impressive, I think, the way that the organ is built around these primary colours. So the plenum, if you like, the full sound of the organ with the mixture chorus is very bright, very full, but it's also very rich indeed. And complementing all of that, there are some very colourful reed stops. These stops are all very individual and very characterful. And for instance, the last piece I'll play in the program is the Dupré Variations on a Noel. And I think for any new organ to demonstrate a new instrument, this is the perfect piece, because in a way it's sort of Cook's tour of the instrument. It covers all the sort of primary solo colours and ensemble colours, ensemble of flutes, trumpet solo, crazy one with the clarinet stop in thirds in the right hand. It's just a wonderfully kaleidoscopic piece, which I think shows the whole range and colours of the instrument.
So, Lynn Dobson, you founded Dobson Pipe Organ Building Company in 1974. Over the last 40 years, you've built 90 new organs. This is the 91st here. Every organ commission must be a bit unique and special. But what is it that's been particularly special about this commission for you?
Well, I think first off, to see one of our instruments come across the Atlantic to England is very unique for any American organ builder, but certainly for us it was quite an honor to have that opportunity. So we're working in an ancient building, and so the responsibility, I think, that I felt toward the building and even the tradition here to build an instrument that really fits in here and feels like it belongs here has been a very interesting and actually quite a learning experience.
John, I know that there are ways in which this organ has been personalised, so to speak, for this chapel. Could you talk us through some of those ways, both in terms of its sound and also perhaps in terms of case design and other aspects?
Of course, every organ that we build is as customized as possible to its situation, not just what you see, but also what you hear. From that standpoint, it's very typical of our work. Again, the choir here, the acoustic of the room, it's hard to verbalize the sense of history that a building this ancient brings to one's thinking about the organ. But it's there, it's underneath, what we're always thinking about, what might have happened in this room a half a millennium ago. And so the organ itself has been voiced with a sense of responding to this space, obviously with the direction of Ben Nicholas and Paul Hale, the advisor. The tonal aspect of it is clearly a response to the acoustic here. Visually, obviously, there are a lot of details that pick up on the architecture. For example, in all the windows here in the chapel, the tracery is different in each one of them. And you'll notice when you look at the pipe shades of the organ that every one of them has a slightly different design. They're balanced, but they're not symmetrical. It's a sort of Gothic way of working where the artist put his own stamp on each piece of work that he did. So although it's a modern organ in every way, it has modern mechanism and modern materials, it draws on so many different periods of history that it seems very sympathetic, I think, to the historic architecture of this building.
Aspect I think that was a challenge in designing this organ is the fact that the organ stands in the crossing, more or less, of the church under the tower, and so as people enter the church from the south, the chapel rather, from the south, they were very concerned that the organ not project into the room very far and sort of look out of place or overwhelming to the space. And so we actually went through maybe, I think, 4 fairly significant design changes in the case to finally arrive at a design that seemed to fit the space the best. The other thing that we've noticed, of course, organists around the world are very opinionated about everything, and during the construction and the installation, we posted lots of photos of the process, and it would be interesting to always read the latest comments by British organists because, what, a top? They learned to take the tops off of cases, and it was just so funny to hear all of the sort of traditional thinking that people have about how an organ should be built, and so now that it's here and people seem to like it, it's quite rewarding.